page
17th of January, Rabbi Furst, Pierke Avos.
Okay, let's begin again. Pierke Avos, as Lou mentioned. Okay. Sifu Lomer Toshia. That's the second paragraph from the second page of your document. Okay, yeah, who would like to begin to read? Any volunteers?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Hosifu Lomar
Toshia.
Vitoshia.
Yeah, it's based on the pasuk in Mishlei. Remember, we took a look at the pasuk in Mishlei yesterday. So then, what the Bryce is quoting here is a pasuk in Mishlei, and Toshia is a type of wisdom. Exactly how that differs from the standard type of wisdom, I'm not sure. Maybe we'll understand a little bit more about it as he goes into the details here. Okay, well, Sifo, it goes on to add and say, Votushia.
So Toshia is wisdom?
Yeah. Take a look there in that pasuk in Mishlei. I forgot exactly where it was again.
So we're talking about learning Torah Shema results in adding to a person's wisdom.
Well, if you can refer back to the quote, if you want, look at the beginning. Look at the beginning of Os Zion. Os Zion. That's the second paragraph from the bottom of page 1. When Bina Gevura. As it's said in the pasuk, this is the pasuk, and we quoted in Mishlei, right? So a person learns Torah Lishma, you benefit from him. Eitzah, which is counsel. So she is wisdom, Bina is understanding, Gevura, and might, as it says in the pasuk. So now, it was Eitzah v'Soshia. So now in the second paragraph on page 2, it's now going on and going to explain the Hosafa, what was the additional aspect that was added in that pasuk in Mishlei and is quoted here in the Brisa, La'omer v'Soshia. What does it mean, Soshia?
Shikasvu ha dakim shehu mishuras lashon yesh. That it's written in the analysis.
Those commentaries which are medactic, right? I mean, the commentary, various different commentaries on, and this would probably be either in the Mishnayos or in Nach and Mishlei. So those commentaries which are medactikim in the letters and the meanings of the words, they say shu misharish loshin yesh. So Shia comes from the shorish of the word yesh.
Yesh as in there is?
Yesh, right? That there is yesh mi'ayin. We say a phrase, yesh mi'ayin.
Something from nothing.
Right.
Ayin Sefer ha Sharshim L'Radak. Look in the book called Sharshim by the Radak. V'hakone Diesh.
Hakavana. What's the kavana? What's
the kavana. The yesh chacham hayoda le'ayatz etza kedas ma lasos. That there is wisdom, that a wise person knows what is la'ayatz?
Yeah, it's to advise, from the words etza, like counsel, to advise.
To advise, an advice that is according to the understanding of what to do.
Yeah, there's types of, you can get types of advice, and so this expression, so Shia, it's referring to a type of wisdom. It's trying to, which is inherent in a person who's a chacham, talking about a certain type of a chacham, a certain type of a wise, and we're talking about a person has chachmas Torah, and the wisdom that he has is not simply theoretical wisdom, but it's also very practical wisdom, that he's able to give advice in terms of what a person should actually do. Sometimes you can have wisdom and advice in theoretical matters, and that's as far as it goes. Just it remains in theory. But other times you can get advice, which is translated into what you're actually supposed to do them. In fact, so shura is a type of wisdom which is able to be expressed not only theoretically in what the proper thing to do is, but also telling you how to carry that out and actually do the proper thing.
Aval lepa'amim ein l'shoel ha'etza ha'kelim v'ha'emtza'im uleva'etz es ha'etza. But sometimes one cannot ask.
What Lishoel is, you're right, it's sort of two, but it's the person who's asking. But however, the farming, there'll be certain circumstances, there'll be times, She'ein Lishoel, that the one who's asking, the Eitzah, the one who's asking, Lishoel ha'Eitzah, the one who's asking the advice,
Kalim vessels.
Kalim, like the actually, it means in this case the ability. It doesn't have the ability or the means. Better the means. He doesn't have the means. Hakalim v'amitzoyim. He doesn't have the means and the ability.
Leva'etz es ha'etz, to follow the advice.
Well, to choose the Eitzah, like to choose to do that Eitzah.
So sometimes a chacham is asked for advice, can give the advice, but the person that gets it is not able to follow through.
Right. I'll just give you a very ridiculous secular example. Let's say a person goes to a financial advisor, right? So the advisor says, well, there's a very good real estate opportunity, All you need is $5 million, and you'll be able to make 3 times your money back in 6 months, right? So the person's overjoyed, but the only problem is he doesn't have $5 million. So you're giving advice to a person who can't fulfill or do anything with the advice. So sometimes you have that in other areas. Obviously, you have it in other areas as well, not just in financial realms. So the advice that's being given has to be team. It has to be appropriate for the person who's asking for the advice. Not all. Even there may be many different opportunities to give advice on any one particular issue, but the advice that you give for this particular person for that particular issue has to be appropriate for that person who's asking for that advice.
He off shy R2 low ma la'asos aval ein b'chachu uv F shrosav lif'ol ulehotzi es ha'etza michach al hapoel. But even the advice to him is what to do, but it's not wise.
It's again, even though shi'aitz loy malasos, even though he'll get advice, he'll be given advice what to do. Ein b'koicher, it's not within his ability, va'av shirusov, and within his means, lefoil, to actually do it. To bring the advice from potential into reality.
V'nimsa she'etzo yatsa larit v'lo ba'ei lichlal mitzios. And we find that his advice goes out. What's larit?
Reek is emptiness into it doesn't materialize, right? Yotzi larik, it doesn't materialize. It turns out she'etz also that his advice yotzi larik, it does not materialize. V'lo ba leklal metzius, and does not come to reality.
So what's the point?
If you look at the word soshua, what is it? Why you have to ask a question? Why are you adding two things? Eitza v'soshua. What's Eitza? Eitza's counsel. Fine. So you've already said they get benefit from his counsel. Very good. So if that's the case, they get benefit from his counsel. A person who's learning Torah Lishma is able to advise people in a way they will get benefit from his advice, from his counsel. So that's very nice. So what's the pasuk and what's the brisa reiterating and saying v'shishua? So what's the additional? That's what this paragraph starts out. So what's the additional statement of Yeshua? So first of all, he explains that the word Shushua is based according to those who are didactic and they understand about the mechanics of Lashon HaKodesh, the shorish of the word. So sure is the word yesh, which means that it is yesh ma'ayin. There was something. It's something. So the advice is something. So now, what does it mean that the advice is something? You'll get advice. You'll get good advice, and you'll benefit from his advice. That it's not only advice, but it's advice that's going to work, meaning it's going to be appropriate for the person who's asking for the advice. Because many times you get advice and it's not necessarily going to be at all appropriate for the person who's asking the advice. It might be appropriate for somebody else. Might be good advice for somebody else, but for this person, it's not good advice at all. So therefore, this is a advice which is able to benefit the person not only in the correctness of the theoretical advice, but also in the actual ability for the person who's asking for the advice to carry it out. It'll be appropriate for him, and therefore it'll be successful advice. So it's not just advice, but it's going to be successful advice.
Okay, so in other words, the person who learns Torah Lishma, gains this ability to give successful advice?
That's right.
Okay. Aval Zeh Shalomad Torah Lishma. But this is one who learns Torah Lishma. Lo Zeh Bilvad Shehu Notain Eitzah Tadas Ma Lasos. This is not only that one gives advice according to his knowledge of what to do, Ella, but Shenotain Gam Toshia. He gives also wisdom. What does that mean?
That's this is a follow up. This is a follow up from the previous paragraph. That the one who learns Torah Lishma, not only does he give advice that's proper according to what should be done, it's meaning it's proper advice theoretically what's supposed to be done. And he also gives him teshua. I know, what does that mean? Yeshua's it gives fulfillment and a reality to his advice. It's advice which is going to be fulfilled and be actualized.
So when it says Gam Toshia, we're saying that means also it's fulfilled and actualized?
Right. It's advice that will be able to be fulfilled and actualized. Right. It's not just theoretical advice.
Hayinu Yashus U Mitzi Os Latzto. It is, what's Yashut?
Yeshus, it's actuality. Umetzias, in reality, to the eights, it gives actuality and existence to the advice.
Sorry, what gives actuality and existence to the advice?
It's appropriate to the person who's asking for the advice.
Mhm. Oh, I see, right.
Right?
Because that advice can be acted upon, it's a viable.
Exactly. Exactly. Sometimes people give advice, but it's not practical, right? Not practical advice. Basically saying what the advice that you get is going to be practical advice.
Mhm.
All your day, Eitz to, Yicholin, Lahavi, Es, Ha'etza, Liadei, Mitzios. That through his advice, he enables, or he's enabled to bring the advice through reality.
That his counsel is able to bring the advice to reality. Right.
The Lashon Yesh, Hayinu, Hametzios.
Right. The expression, the word yesh is means mitzias, reality. So this advice that the person is going to get is going to be advice which is going to be practical and result in a realistic and a actual solution to his question that he wanted to ask and was getting advice upon.
What's this abbreviation?
Ukemoshe Kasiv Harambam Zakon Vavracha.
As it is written by the Rambam, the Lifrash HaKara Lehanchil Ohave Yesh. What is Lifrash?
Yeah, which word? Sorry.
Lifrash.
Lefarish to explain from the again. I it says the lashon yesh is the word yesh means a reality. Ukamosha kasav Rambam Zal beperish Mishnayos, as the Rambam writes in his commentary on the Mishnayos, right? The farish that he's explaining Hakra, he's explaining the pasuk lahanchil oyevai yesh, that he gives an inheritance to those he loves, yesh, a reality. The inheritance of those that Hashem loves is a reality.
He Yesh Hu Mitzios. He's me dis. He's me adis. Ayin Sham. Because Yesh, it is reality.
Hatamidis. It's a constant reality. Something which is yesh is a constant reality. Tamidis is constant. Consistency.
Look over there I guess that means look at the Rambam.
Yeah, I think so, right.
The Chacham, the Alma, Af Shiachol Va'utz Ha'etza Aval Ein B'chacho Lahavi Es Ha'etza Liadei Mitzios Vayishos. The wise person, even though he is able to give advice, but his wisdom does not bring the advice to the control of reality.
Ein bekolchol via ha'etzi le metzias Yeshuas. The a chacham dialma, meaning we're talking about like a secular wise person, a person who is secularly wise, ostensibly. Even though they're able to yoitz eitz, they're able to give counsel, advice. There's not, they don't have in their ability to bring the advice into a reality, into a successful practical reality.
Aval,
I'll give you an example. I know the man was actually a school psychologist. He was a school psychologist working yeshivas. He worked in yeshivas, school psychologist working yeshivas. And anyway, he had someone who was that he was working with, but he wasn't the primary therapist. The primary therapist was somebody else, and he was working with this one person. And it was this. So my friend was telling me, this other therapist, they're starting their 40th session. Can you imagine their 40th session, and they still haven't gotten anywhere, right? So with all the advice, didn't amount to much. So you find that a lot. You find many people willing to give advice, but they're not giving the proper advice, and they certainly don't have the ability to bring the advice into a successful reality.
Aval, Halamed Torah Lishma, who Hayoetz, Vahu Hanosein Koach, Litain Mitzios Baha'etza. But one who learns Torah for its own sake, he advises and gives strength to give reality to the advice.
Right. So the person who's learning Torah Lishma, so he's giving the advice, and he also gives the person who's asking the advice, and he's also giving to the advice the potential to give the aids into a reality, to actually make the advice work.
Uchane'amar v'chag gazar omar vayikam wach. Like that is stated, that the decree is stated to establish it for you. He so he goras tzaddik v'hakadosh baruch hu mikayimah, because he himself decrees righteously, and
No, no. Gezeres Tzaddik, it's a Gezeres Tzaddik. The one who's righteous is making the decree, and a Kadosh Baruch Hu will fulfill it.
right.
So the difference that by when you're seeking Das Torah, when you're asking someone who's learning and a person's learning Torah Lishma, so not only excuse me, not only are they going to give the correct and appropriate advice, but also they have the ability that the advice will be fulfilled in the proper way, that it'll actually come to fruition, and it'll be an answer to the person's question and the issue that they're trying to resolve, because Hashem will fulfill the decrees of the tzad.
It doesn't say anything about the time frame. If a person doesn't know anything about the Torah, let's say he's a Baal Tshuva. He walks into the shul one day, curious, and he meets the rabbi. Rabbi talks to him. He's very impressed. He says, "Okay, I want to join." So he joins, and he starts learning Torah. And he's in a very elementary class, elementary level. He's learning Aleph Bet. He's learning basic things. But he's learning Lishma. He has no ulterior motive. He's only doing this because he wants to learn. He wants to come close to Hashem, whatever. He's learning Lishma. But it's only been a few days. So he's not going to be able to do all this stuff. It doesn't seem to say anything about, how a person gets to the point where he accomplishes this.
Well, that there's two things here. There's well, first of all, it says that he's maksharto. He's maksharto lios tzadi chassid yosher nemer and merachachom. He's maksharto. He's prepared. It doesn't say that he's going to be doing it right away. The Mishnah, the Lashon of the Bryce is maksharto, that he's going to be prepared to be doing all this. Eventually, whenever he has the abilities to do it, he'll be able to do it. But it won't be look at that's the expression, right? That's the expression you see in Oz Vav. That's a quote from the Bryce.
So all of this is potential.
Well, yeah, I mean, whenever the necessary, everything else has to come up to speed as well, right?
Right.
But the basis of it all is that his actual learning is motivated only for the fact that this is what Hashem wants from him, that he's doing it basically lishma. But then everything else, obviously, a person, he's made his final absolute decision honestly, and he's sitting there, and now he's learning Aleph Beis. And if someone is, obviously, someone comes and asks him a shayla about a woman going to a mikvah, he never heard the word mikvah before in his life, right? So yeah, so what the timeline is, so that that all depends. Obviously, the person has to put in his efforts.
Right, right.
Okay, let's see what time I think we have a few more minutes. Let's continue on with the next paragraph.
Okay. Amar Bene Ugevora.
Bina ugevura.
Bina Ugevora. And it says Bina, which is kind of wisdom, and Gevura, which is might. The Bina, he Havnas Havanas Devar Mitoch Devar. Bina, it is a Havanas, it's a beloved.
Is understanding. Havana is the understanding.
The understanding of
government talk about
anything.
Well, one thing from another thing. Bina is the ability to understand one thing from the other thing, meaning in terms of the relationship of the two different things. So from understanding one thing, you'll be able to understand something else as well.
Mitok Devar. I'm sorry. Ayin Sanhedrin. Look over in Sanhedrin. Unavon Devar Shemevin Devar Mitok Devar. What is Navon?
Navon is to perceive.
To perceive a thing that is understood as a thing from another thing.
Right. So the Gemara in Sanhedrin says a navon. The navon is the perception of understanding one thing from another thing.
V'chein barashi divarim, and it is stated by Rashi in Divarim, the nivonin mevinim devar mitoch devar. So Rashi says he understands a thing from a thing.
Davar mitoch davar. He understands something, right? Mevinim davar mitoch davar. Hanavonim, those who are perceptive. Mevinim, they understand one thing from another thing.
He kacho shel halomed Torah lishma ba'atzmo be'etz so, because the strength of one who learns Torah for its own sake What is be'etza? So it's in his advice?
Yeah, that kikoichai shel Torah lishma be'etzosai, meaning the ability of the person who's learning Torah lishma through his advice, be'etzosai, through his advice,
Sheha mis I eitz yavin davar mitoch davar. That he his advice is understood as a thing from a thing. Hayawach, I'm sorry, hiach lekal kal maasav. And it what's hiach?
that that the lekalkel maasav, how to support his behavior. Meaning, hamisayetz yavin davar mitoch davar, eich yikalkel maasav. That the one who's learning Torah Shema, through his advice, it's understood that one thing from another, how to support his behavior. Let me give you an example. You probably heard this story. You know that this is going back a couple of hundred years in the Polish woods. So you have in the Polish woods you have people lived in little huts, little cabins, log cabins, or whatever they had there. Right, not very fancy stuff. So the fellow comes to the rabbi. He comes to the rabbi and says his wife's complaining the house is not big enough.
Oh yeah,
His wife, yeah. He comes to the rabbi and he says his wife's complaining. What should he do? She's complaining the house is not big enough. So yeah, go ahead, Lou. You remember the story?
bring in the chicken. He brings in the chicken. His wife is complaining. It's still complaining. Bring in the cow. Brings in the cow. Bring in the donkey. Okay, now bring it all out. Bring them all out. Ah, his wife's happy.
Right. If you understand you understand that was the perfect advice. What's he supposed to do for this meager Jewish couple living in the Polish woods 200-300 years ago? What's he supposed to do? Say to move to Warsaw? He's supposed to build a second story. Like take a vacation in the French Riviera. What's he supposed to do for these people, right? How's he going to solve their problem?
Right.
So they have a chicken. Okay, you have a chicken. Bring the chicken in. You have a cow. Oh, you have a cow. Bring the cow in, right? Oh, you take it out. All of a sudden, everything's fine. You appreciate what you have because you went to the bottom of the situation. And just appreciate what you have, and your things could be more crowded. So that was very good practical advice. Okay. Yeah. Oh, so what's fine. I tell you, we're in the middle of. Maybe let's stop here instead of trying to rush through the rest of the paragraph. Let's stop here, and we'll continue this paragraph tomorrow. Mitzvah Shem.
Okay, thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Furst. Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you, Mitzvah Shem.
Well, this matches, yeah.